hear me? You can type it in chat message. Yes, can you hear me? So what we have covered in our last session, we have worked on local storage, session storage. Then what else we have covered? Local storage, session storage, bcrypt, express storage, bcrypt, express route. We have covered this. Let me the submission. I got only one submission from Bishop. First of all, this is not a component, right? This is route only. At least we got it here. We have to look it into the database also. It will be master@gmail.com and then login going to sign up. Very good. If I look it into the database, employees, Vishal. Password is encrypting and using. Good work, Vishal. I think you have used Bootstrap. Let us move to subject today. Today we are going to work on class components. UseEffect, life cycle. We are going to work on this class components, UseEffect, and life cycle. First of all, tell me uh, what is a class component? Can you tell me what is class components? Any idea about it? Any guesses about class component? Any guesses? What is class components? What is life cycle methods? What is use? Any guesses? You can speak or you can type it in the chat message. Chat window. Reusable code. Okay. It's like this. As we discussed earlier, you know, first procedural oriented programming was introduced. Then improved version of that is object oriented programming. The advantage of object oriented programming is it increases the reusability, scalability, and flexibility. And this object oriented programming has multiple concepts, and in that classes are one of the concepts which we have already worked, JavaScript classes. And React team has taken these classes and improvised it and customized it according to React, and they named it as a class components. What? Class components. And they improvised it as a class components. Then they have improvised it further and they named it as a functional component. They named it as functional component. And we have already worked on these functional components, creating components and using it in after.js. So many times we have used it. And today we are going to work on these class components also. We have already worked on procedural-oriented programming. Procedural-oriented programming includes concepts like variables, functions, data types, loops, control statements, those kind of things. And we have also worked on object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming concepts include classes, inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, abstraction, composition, those kind of things. And we have also worked on classes, and we have also worked on functional components. Today we are going to work on class components. Also, today we are going to work on class components, and we are going to work on UseEffect also. So we are going to work on class components today, and we are going to work on life cycle methods, which is related to class components, and we are going to work on UseEffect, which is related to functional components. Okay. First of all, let us look into this UseEffect. Before we proceed with the UseEffect, can you tell me what is the difference between a normal variable and state variable? What is the difference between a normal variable and a state variable? Can you tell me the difference? Any guesses? state variable changes with respect to choice by user. That means basically state variable is something whenever we change the value of a variable, the whole component will be repopulated. The whole component will be repopulated. We have worked on use state hook. I think uh, we have worked on use state. We have worked on use state. Give me one second. Repopulating component when state variable value is same some value variable correct. So whenever the state variable value changes, the whole component will be repopulated. And today we are going to work on use effect, and we are going to work on life cycle methods. Use effect and life cycle method both does the same thing, but use effect we use it in functional components, and life cycle methods we use it in class components. That's the difference that we will look into it. First of all, what is a use effect? Use effect is called as a hook. Is called as hook. Is part of hooks. Anything starts with the use is called as hooks. Hooks are one of the popular concepts of React. We have already worked on multiple hooks concepts like use ref, use state, use navigation, use location. Likewise, we have worked on multiple hooks. Today, we are going to work on use effect. What exactly this use effect? Use effect is useful to execute some code on specific events. Specific events means what? Whenever the component loads, whenever the component loads, we want it to execute something. Yes, we can do that using use effect. Whenever component unloads, we want it to execute something. Yes, we can do it using use effect. Or any or specific state variable changes. Specific state variable changes. If any specific state variable changes, you wanted to implement something, yes, we can use effect. Or any state variable changes you wanted to execute it. Any state variable changes you wanted to execute something, yes, we can use effect. So use effect is something we will useful. It is useful to execute the code. Use effect is something which is useful to execute the code whenever the component loads or component unloads or specific variable changes or any state variable changes. We can execute the code with the help of use effect. And use effect is a hook can be used in functional components only. Again, if you wanted to implement detect, if you wanted to execute some code on component loads or some code on component unloads or any specific variable changes, you wanted to execute it in the class component, you have to execute something called life cycle methods, which we are going to discuss about. First, we will use this use effect. We will detect component load to execute something, component unload. Let us see. Give me one second there. Let me open the application. I think we already opened the application. Let me run this first. Now, what exactly I wanted to do is I wanted to create a component called, for example, counter. I wanted to create a component called counter, and I wanted to load some code. I wanted to execute some code whenever this component loads. I wanted to execute something whenever the component loads or component unloads or a state variable changes that I wanted to implement it. I will do this using both the functional component, that means I have to use UseEffect, and I'm going to create something similar using class component where I have to use lifecycle methods. Both does the same thing, execute some part of the code when the component loads or unloads, but UseEffect is in functional components, lifecycle methods is in class. We'll be working on both. The application is running. Now what I will do, first of all I'll create a folder called component. And here I'll create a component called counter. Counter is for our reference. What I'll do, I'll say FC counter. FC means functional component, because I'm going to create a similar component called CC, which is a class component. FC counter. Then is a normal component RFCV. Yeah, functional component with export. This is the functional component which I have created, and I wanted to implement some basic functionality. Means I'll say create button. Create zero. I have created this functional component, and I wanted to use it in app.js. See, okay. What I can see here is increment, decrement, and this label. On click of this increment, this value should be changed. On click of this decrement, this value should be incremented or decremented. Instead of label, what I will do, I will just use h1. And h1 is block. So that's why it is taking full width and starting the new line. Okay, if I click on increment, it should be incremented. If I click on decrement, this should be decremented. That's what I wanted to do it. So for that, creating a normal variable is sufficient, or we have to create state variable. On click of the increment button, the value should be changed. On click of the decrement button, value should be changed. I have to create a normal variable or state variable. Which variable I have to create? we have to create a state variable because whenever I click on the button, I want the values to be changed. So what I will do, I will create a state variable. To create the state variable, first of all, I have to import it. Use, I create a variable. Let counter and counter and initially I am assigning 0. Initially I am assigning 0 and here I say here I say counter B. Now I should see 0 in our application. 0 only we are seeing in our application. Now on increment, on click of the increment button, I wanted to change it and say that counter whatever the value counter. This one I wanted to use it. And on decrement, click set counter. Increment is changing. Increment which is reducing perfectly fine, the normal way. Okay. And now what I wanted to do, I wanted to execute something whenever this component loads. Whenever this component loads, I wanted to execute something. Yes, Rahul, do you have any question? Rahul, do you have any question?
No, sir. Actually, some mistaken.
Kind of. Okay. Now, what I wanted to do on component loads, I wanted to execute something. In that case, the use effect comes into picture. Now, see here, what I will do, you are inside the component and say use effect. Use effect is useful to detect the component loading, component unloading, a specific state variable changes or any state variable changes, and we can execute something. Now what I will do, I am going to write okay, detecting, executing something on component load. How to execute something on component load? I'll write use effect. Here I'll write para function. And I'll say this empty array. So whatever you write inside this will be executed on component loads. That means now see here comes the log. I simply say fc counter loaded. That's what I have written it. And whatever I write in UseEffect will be executed by default once. Then on component loads. Minimum one time it will be executed. Now right click. Inspect. See here. It is calling twice. The reason is, as I said, whatever you write in UseEffect will be executing initially one. Then the component loaded. It's like this, I'm giving an example. Father, mother, brother, sister. Father, mother, brother, sister. Now this sister is getting married, and the reception is by 7 in the evening. Reception is by 7 p.m. So usually when people gather to that function hall, 7 means when people come and join the function. When they come to the function hall, the function is by 7 o'clock. When people start coming, there's something. 9 p.m. Okay, usually 7 means. Okay, there are certain people who comes by 7 also. 7 or 9, whatever it is. But this father, this brother, what they do, they'll come by at least 2 p.m. At least 2 p.m. because they have to look into all the arrangements. Yes or no? They have to look into all the arrangements. So they'll come by 2 p.m. They will look for all the arrangements and they will go back and again get ready and they'll come back by 7 p.m. Yes or no? So this father and brother are looking into all the activities, whether everything is going fine or not, like chairs, food, decoration, all the arrangements they have to make it exactly the same way. Even UseEffect also will be executed at least once during initialization. Then next time will be executing depending upon the event. Now you can see the same way here. First, you see here it is executing twice. One is initialization, and the next is on the component. Got my point? Understanding or not? How many times UseEffect code will be executing? Once during initialization of the UseEffect. That means once. Then depending upon the event we have given. Now whatever I have written it here will be executing on loading, and I can write it for unload also. I can write it for unload also. How? And write UseEffect. What I did creating an arrow here. And within this arrow function, I'll write the return second arrow function. That part of this part of the code will be executed. This part of the code will be executed whenever the component unloads. Now I'll say console log, I'll say MC counter unloaded. MC counter unloaded. That means whenever the component unloads, it will be. Now I'm just refreshing it. Observe here. Now the counter loaded is also called, loaded counter unloaded is also called. These two are during initialization. These two are during initialization. Then component loaded is called because the component has been loaded. Now component unloading is not calling. Component unloading is not calling because the component is loaded only. The component is not unloading. Component is still displaying on the screen. It is not unloading. It is not calling. Now I wanted to execute the code written in unload. So what I will do, I will modify some code here. So I'll write I'll create a state variable here, one more state variable in app.js. I'll say that state initial value I'm giving true, initial value I'm giving true. And what I wanted to do here, instead of directly showing like this, I'll say it show counter is true, and I wanted to show counter, that means nothing. So basically, I'm creating a ternary operator here. Whenever this show counter is true, I'm showing the component. Otherwise, I'm showing null. Null means nothing will be shown. Now, the default value is true. That's why that component is showing. Now, for example, if I change the default value to false, for example, default value is false, so the component is not loading. We observe here the component has been unloaded. But then I'll show you again. What I will do, I'll wanted to change the statement that show on show counter, and what I'm doing, I'll say show counter is either true or false, and I'm saying not. I'm saying not. That means what? If the show counter is true, not true, it will be false. I'm showing it to this. I'm showing it to this. And if show counter is false, not false, it will become true. Now, what I will do, I'll come here and I'll say, see, show, I'm making true or false, it is displaying and disappearing, displaying and disappearing. Now, observe here, I'm hiding it, I'm unloading it. Now, see, FC counter unloaded is called. Again, I'm clicking on it, the component is loaded. So it is initializing and the loaded is called. Again, I'm clicking on it, unloaded. Again, now I'm clicking on it and I'm saying show, that means the component is loaded. That means first initialized and loaded. Understood how to detect loading and unloading of the component. Understanding or not? Is something understanding or not understanding? Or you can ask me if you have any questions or doubts or if you didn't understand. So basically, what we have done, we have created the let's see, count the component, and that within this we are detecting the loading and executing some code, and within this we are detecting unloading and executing some code. And here, what we are doing, we have created the state variable. Depending upon the state variable value, we are showing or not showing. Not showing is nothing but it's unloading the component because we set null. it is unloading the component and loading the component. See. So now observe here, it is already loaded. I am clicking on it, unloaded. Is called. I am clicking on it, initialized, and loaded is called. Like that, which is happening. Okay. This is for what do you say, functional component. Now, what we can also do, whenever the state variable changes, you want to execute something. Normally, state variable means what? Whenever I change the state variable, the whole component will be repopulated. But what I wanted to do, whenever the state variable changes, I wanted to execute some code. Specific state variable changes. What that also can be done. What I will do here is I'll write use effect. Again, I'm writing like and here I'm empty array. And in this empty array, I'm going to give the state variable which is counter. Which what? Whenever the counter state variable changes, this part of the coding. Now I'll say console log say counter state variable. State variable changes. Now observe here, whenever the state variable value changes, it will be executed. Now observe here. Now I'm clicking on this. First, what actually happened? First, FC loaded, counter state variable changes, FC unloaded. That means what? Basically, initialized. This use effect is initialized. That's why these things are calling. Then component unloaded is called. Component loaded is called. State variable changes is also called because we have a set 0. Then I am clicking on increment. Now see state variable changing and it is executed. Whenever the state variable changes, the code is executed. Normal state variable, whenever the state variable changes, the whole component will be re-executing, repopulating. That's fine. But now what we are doing, whenever the state variable changes, you want it to perform something. Whenever the state variable changes, you want it to perform something. Yes, we can do that like this. So we are using UseEffect in different ways. We are using UseEffect for detecting the load and executing something. We are using UseEffect detecting the unload and detecting the load and execute something. And here we are using UseEffect detecting the change of a state variable. Which state variable? Counter state. Whenever counter state variable changes, this part of the code is. Now, for example, what I'll do, I'll create one more variable. For example, score. Here also I'll say set score. Here I say 0. And now what I will do here, use effect, use effect. If I say score here, means whenever the score state variable changes, this part of the code is example of the score state variable changes here, counter state variable changes. Now, so what? Now I am just refreshing it. Let me see it. I'm clicking on this. Now see the component has been loaded. So counter loaded, counter state variable changes. Score state variable changes, unloaded. All these four are calling during initialization, and after that fc loaded, then counter, then score. Because initially we are setting some value. Now observe here, I am just incrementing it. Only counter state variable changes basically, but score state variable changes is not calling because we are not changing anything. We are not changing anything. Now what I will do, I wanted to create two more buttons. I wanted to create two more buttons. This is for score. This is for set score. Here, now see, this is for counter, this is for score. Now observe here what happens when our increment score. Now score state variable change. Now I'm clicking on it. Score state variable changes. When now I'm clicking on it, observe here counter state variable change. Have you observed it? So basically what is happening, this part of the code is executing whenever counter state variable changes. This part of the code executing whenever score state variable changes. And what I can also detect, any state variable changes I wanted to execute. Any state variable changes. I'll write UseEffect. And I am not going to give any second parameter. This itself is console log some state variable changed. So this part of the code will be executing when any state variable changes. This part of the code executes when any state variable changes. Now see, UseEffect we are using it in multiple ways because it is multi-purpose. You know, if you go to big hospitals, they call it as multi-specialty. Multi-specialty means what? It can be related to heart, it can be related to lungs, it can be related to eyes. We call it as a multi-specialty. Multiple specialties are there. Here also UseEffect can be useful for multi-purpose here. We can UseEffect can be used for component loaded, can be used for component unloaded. UseEffect can be used for specific state variable changes. UseEffect can be used for any state variable changes. This is a UseEffect any state variable changes. Now see here. Now if I click on it, component is loaded. Fine. Now I am changing the score. See, counter will change, some state variable change. This is like any state variable change. Even if I click on this also, see, or state variable change and some state variable. And we can also write like this also. UseEffect or this means what? If any one of the state variable changes, this will be called. That means what, you know, this is a component loads, it will be called. Component loads, this will be called. Component unloads, this will be called. Counter state variable changes, this will be called. Score state variable changes, this will be called. Score or counter state variable changes, this will be called. And when it comes to this, any state variable changes, even in future, if I create few more state variables, this will be called state variable. This will be called understanding what I am saying. Yeah, understanding or not? So basically, use effect is a hook which can be used to execute some code on specific events. Specific event means what? Whenever any component loading, we can execute something. Any component unloads, we can execute something. Any specific state variable changes, we can execute something. Multiple state variable changes, we can execute something. Or any state variable changes, we can execute something. That is the way we can use this use effect hook. Now see, I'm changing the score. What is actually happening? Score changed. Some state variable changed. Now here what I can say, score or I am taking one increment. See, counter state variable change. Counter or score state variable change. Some variable change. So this is calling any state variable changes. This is calling counter or score state variable changes. This is calling only counter state variable changes. Now observe here, I'm changing the score. Now see, any state variable changes is also calling counter or score state variable changes is calling and score state variable changes. Use effect is same, but we can use it in multiple ways. Use it in multiple ways. Use effect component. Now, as I said earlier, this is the loading. We are executing it. Front loading, component unloading, front unloading. Here, counter the state variable changes. This one, score, score variable change. This counter or score state variable changes. This one, state variable change. State variable. Now I'm just refreshing it. Initially it is false, that's why it's not showing. I'm just clicking on the load component. Basically, I'm changing the state variable. The component has been loaded. Now see here, all these are initializations. All these are initializations, and all these are events on specific component loaded or specific state variable change. Any state variable change, some state variable change. This type of. Understood? Sir? Any questions on this so far? So next, we have something called class components. These class components, like functional component, we have class component, and in functional component we use effect to detect loading, unloading, state variable changes, And in class component, if we want to detect loading, unloading, and any state variable changes, we have to learn something called life cycle methods. Right? Like methods, these things we will cover it in our next session. What I want you to do first, you try UseEffect. Then we will create the class component and we'll be working on life cycle methods. It's similar actually. It's similar. See, here UseEffect is used to detect the loading and unloading in functional component. Usually we use lifecycle methods to detect loading and unloading in class. This is the latest and advanced. This is the old approach, but still it's good to learn. Got it? So basically, just to give you an example, whenever an application out or a component you wanted to send a request to the server, we use UseEffect to detect it. I think we have already worked on that also. UseEffect we have used to send a URL request, to send a request to the server, to send a request to the server whenever the component goes. Or you wanted to change, you wanted to call the, you wanted to send a request to the server. Anything starts with use is called as part of